Hey, how's it going? Design Elements and Principles, Session 11, Part B. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody is staying dry. As these Thursdays, as we roll out the end of the semester, the Thursdays will be very short in lectures. As I may have mentioned, I probably will mention this every time because we're flip-flopping. We're going to be doing little work on the poster, little work on the pamphlet, little work on the poster, little work on the pamphlet. So it's going to be distributed a little bit differently, as I've mentioned for the past 4 weeks. House cleaning, 8 and 9 will close out at the end of the day today, Thursday, April 16th. So just know that if you don't have it in, I open things up even beyond what the grading rubric says I will do. So that was a bonus. So make sure you take care of that stuff if you haven't already. Again, make sure you turn in your attendance for the week. Let's continue it. What does CMYK stand for? It stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and key black. And that's actually what that stands for. And I also say that the K is for the K in black because there's no other like color that has a K in it. So it's another way to do it. So there you go. That one's done. Boom. There you go. Make sure you do these and take care of it for the week. We went over the contrast lecture in lecture 11A. Always at the mid-session project review. At any point, if you have a question, comment, or concern, you're working on a project, like, I wonder how I'm doing on this. You can turn it into the mid-session project review. I'll review it, get it back to you, and you can keep cruising on it. It's a great way to know that if you're ever wondering about how well you're doing on a project before it's due. You know, we went over the contrast research. This is due in Illustrator. Make sure you're lining things up. You're getting everything's perfect. The better your practice, the better your development as a graphic designer will be. If you're missing little things, if you're just throwing together, oh, whatever, well, that's how your design will be. And that's how you'll be as a designer, and oh, whatever designer. And then people will be like, oh, I want the designer who like looked at stuff and not the like, I just put it in. For the contrast, project, excuse me, started reading. Create 2 compositions using color to define the contrast, 2 compositions using shape to define contrast, and 2 compositions using typography. Again, I went over that in Tuesday's lecture. Today, the book review, always fairly easy. It's on transparency, how to use transparency in design, what that can do for you. What it is and how it works. There's some great ideas in here, great thoughts. I love a good transparency. I think I do it a lot. Yeah, I think I do it far more than I like trying to figure out this texture. But you know what that is? I think that's just a stupid texture from Photoshop, which I don't love because there's a kind of like a repeat. Maybe it's not in the background, whatever. So very cool stuff. Make sure you read it. Not, you know what I mean by read it. Tell me what you think about it. Easy peasy. Now we're into the rough draft phase of our pamphlet. Super easy. Not a lot to do, but this is where you refine all the work. This is where you're like, I think I know what I'm going to do. This is where you're like, okay, let's redraw it one more time. And I'm going to think about all the things that we've learned in design so far. I'm going to work, is there a margin? Let's make sure I got, margin. If something's going off the page, like we're thinking about exactness of the design. We're also looking to make sure that we included absolutely everything. As when you work in the real world, you can't forget stuff like, oh, I forgot to put that in. Like, you need to remember, if the client goes through and they're like, we need the graphic designer name and photo, a minimum of 5 examples, 2 paragraphs about the graphic designer, and a site where you got the written information. That all needs to be in there. If you have 4 photos and not 5, I'll question, like, why? What happened? It says it right there. And then I need you to include your design process. And this happens, we do this in the real world as well. We're not always meeting. Look at this class right here. Look around. Oh, wait, you don't see anybody. So it's all online, and so how is the client going to understand your ideas unless you type it up? Oh, I know. Well, that's the way it works now. I think that's sometimes the hardest part. I'd rather just talk it out in a meeting, but I can't always have my way. And so in that terms, we need to now type it out. So like, what fonts are you going to use? What is the color palette that you're going to use? What, if any, extra photos, illustrations you need to find to include for the final? Oh, this is poster. That's supposed to say pamphlet. And then practice a bit with any parts that you may want to add. I got to change that poster to pamphlet. Wow. And then include that in here. So I have a student example I'm going to pull up. We've seen this one before. So we have a beautiful opening cover. We have who he is. Sorry, sometimes when I scroll, it does double. We have our 5 examples. We have our 2 paragraphs of information, and then we have our site. And a little bit more. Love it. This was the first, thumbnail sketch, back cover. They're understanding where everything goes. Photo in basic color, stylized like poster design. All right, perfect. Got a little information in there, like helping me out. This was their thumb sketch too. They know they're even writing down which images or what and where they go. Here's another one. And then here's the rough draft. All panels will have a solid background color to tie in the middle. This is beautiful. Like Bernard's posters are prevented from drawing attention away from them. Thought out. Back cover will be dark brown. All right. So he's going to have the 3 pieces. He's going to have a big name, Lucien Bernard, and then a picture of him, and then the dates. Cover will be a solid deep blue. The name will be bold, likely sans font. Good enough. Bernard will be stylized in the same manner as his signature in the poster's Bern directly atop heart. If you look at his posters, you'll see what he's talking about. See, he stacks it. So very cluing in to the designer itself. All right. And page 1 and page 2, body copy right there. Page 1 will be solid black. All body copy will be texturina, semi-fold font first. Larger paragraph body will be on page 1. All right, the larger paragraph. And then when I refer back to here, I know what the larger paragraph means. And then they have the stiller. Page 2 will be solid purple in a shade that matches the word Priester in the Priester poster. The second short paragraph will be on that page. And there we are. So this is what you need to do. I walked through the entire presentation, but this is the development and the process. And when you work with a client, you give them, here's 3 ideas. Okay. And then usually the client will pick like, oh, can you go with that? And then you give them a rough draft, or you might give them 3 rough drafts, all based around one concept or one idea. And then so we work through that process. This gets you to the point of once you get into the computer, you don't think about anything except for the design. You know exactly where this piece is going, exactly where this piece, like there's no thought. And that makes the, let's call it the money portion of the project cheaper. Unbeknownst that even though it's a computer, doing this work is far quicker. Sketching stuff out, just figuring this out, because you can like draw something and be like, no, okay, I don't like that, and erase it out and change it, and you can do it quickly. There's a couple things happening, one in our minds, one on the computer. One in our minds is that if you just need to erase something, you can erase it. Our minds get in this a setup when we're working on the computer that once we place something or once we put something, then we're thinking about more of how we need to adapt it in the computer rather than just erasing it, deleting it, like, oh, that doesn't work. Okay. So there is a reason to do this development. And there's a reason why we don't just show, oh, here's the computer process. And then you got to go in, and then you got to go change this, and then you got to go change that. And you're in the computer, like, and it does take forever. Here, if somebody's like, we want to switch, do something. It's just far easier. Like, okay, you want this over here and this over here. Okay, great. Pew, 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 and I just sketched it out. I don't even have to open something and it is far quicker to do these sort of changes and get approval at this point. And then all you're doing is literally, you're going to drop this into InDesign and then place stuff on top of where it was. And that's why we go through this. And that's why we also make sure that our sketches are to size, to the perfect size. Then that's it. So it's a fairly easy process. If you do have questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Spend some time on it, distraction free, and have some fun with it. If you reach out to me if you have questions, comments, concerns on what to do, how to do it, any parts of the process, please let me know. I'm always around. All right. Like I said, nice and short, little 10-minute go through. It's going to be like this till the end of the semester. Thursdays will be nice and short. All right. If you need anything, just let me know. Thank you. Goodbye.